Hi everybody, welcome back. If you are a returning viewer, welcome if you are new. My name is Addie and this is the Knits by AJ knitting podcast. I am a knitter, sewer, sometimes crocheter from the southeast of England, and this is kind of just where I come and chat about my knitting for an hour or so every couple of weeks. You can find me on Instagram as knitsby.aj. Or you can find me on Ravelry as Knits by AJ. I will put both somewhere up here. And yeah, before we get into it, I just wanted to mention that I don't think I have mentioned this before actually, but I always put all in any like makers, any yarns, any patterns, anything that I mention in these videos. If I can link it, I will down in the description or the show notes, whatever you want to call it. And I did notice the other day, as I was just scrolling through my YouTube studio, that even though I've selected the option for YouTube to put in chapters, they haven't been happening recently. I think they happened on my first video, but maybe haven't happened since. Either way, I will just try and in editing make sure that I put in timestamps. So if you do want to scrub through to a certain project, then you can. If you want to watch the whole thing, that'd be great. Why not? Yeah, I have got 3 finished objects, 2 of which you have seen before, and I've got 5 whips, and I've got some sewing, and I've got some acquisitions to show. Sorry, I was just looking at my pile of knitting and realising that some of it is not in order. Anyway, should we just get into it? Let's just get into it. Okay, so first finished object is something that you have seen before, and I think last week I said that these would have been gifted by the time I filmed this week, but I got my weeks mixed up, and actually these are going to be gifted next week. And these are the Marie purses that I knit up for my daughter's teachers. They are all completely finished. Last week I had finished the knitting, but I had not finished sewing in the zips and the lining, and this week they are all completely done. I can tick them off the list. They are done. And yeah, I am really happy with them. I did have a bit of an issue with one of them where I sewed the zip in and I started sewing in the lining, and I don't know, it just didn't, the zip, it kept getting caught in the zip, and I don't know, it just didn't want to work. It just was not, it was not playing ball. So I had to unpick the lining, unpick the zip, and then I ended up actually shortening the lining ever so slightly. I think what had happened is that I maybe cut my fabric for the lining to the length of the 3rd size when I knitted the 2nd size. So my lining was slightly too long. And then I went back, so that was on this purple one. And then I went back and checked the black one, which was the other one that I hadn't sewn the lining and everything into. And I'd done the same thing. I don't know. So yeah, not a problem. Because when you make the lining, you just iron the fold and then you just sew along your fold along the top. I just refolded and pressed it and it was fine. But yeah, these are my Marie purses. I have been through all of the yarns and everything in previous episodes, and I've spoken about these in length in previous episodes, so there will be links to those somewhere here or down below if you want to know a little bit more about them. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that they are done, and so the insides look a bit like this. So that is a number 1 and number 2 and number 3. And I'm sure I will have done some notes up here anyway with all of the yarns and everything. So yeah, these are for my daughter's teachers, and yeah, I'm just really happy with how these turned out. And yeah, to be honest, I'm also really happy to get them off my needles and kind of out of my sight, because the sewing kind of got to me in the end. I realise now that I'm not a hand sewer. I'm probably not going to be taking up embroidery anytime soon, because it's It's not my favourite thing to do. I get quite frustrated by it. It takes a long time, and I don't know. I end up stabbing myself with a needle so many times, and I should just buy a thimble, but I don't know. Anyway, yes, so those are my Marie purses. I just wanted to sort of like honorarily mention them as a finished object because they are finally all finished. And I don't have to worry about them anymore. I got a little bit stressed. Got a little bit gift knit stressed. So yeah, that is those. I'm going to whiz through those and the next thing just because you've seen them all before and it's just like finishing touches. So next up is my daughter's Christmas stocking, which I spoke about at length last week. I just knit a giant sock basically. And then I just felted it. And I think the only thing that I had left to do was just to pop the embroidery on. And yeah, I just decided to do my daughter's initial because I will be honest, I'm not an embroiderer. Would that be the word? I don't know. It's not something that I really enjoy doing all that much. I get very frustrated with it very, very quickly. And like, I don't know, I can't do everything. I mean, I know there are loads of beautiful, I've seen loads of reels and like YouTube videos of beautiful embroidery. I just don't think I have the patience for it. Like I generally feel like I'm quite a patient person, but you know, there's just always one thing that you're just like, oh no, just not for me. And right now that is embroidery. It's just not for me. It's fine, but I will do it when needs must. And so I have just popped her initial on there, and yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out, to be honest. I think it's nice that just being a little bit more simple. I might add more to it in the future, and I think that's kind of the joy of it, like being a handmade stocking. I can add more to it if I want to. I can unpick this if I don't like it and redo it if I want to, if I find something, like find a technique that I really want to do even more, or if yeah, I don't know, I make some other kind of decision about it. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how that's turned out, and also just very glad to have that job ticked off my list. I've reached that point in like Christmas like prep where I have a lot of things on my list, and I just like, they're all like tiny things that just take a little bit longer than I really want to spend on them. And yeah, I've forgotten what to say what I am wearing again, so I will do that now. This is a jumper that I self-drafted for myself at the beginning of the year. It's just like an all-over cabled, oversized drop shoulder. This came about because I knit my daughter and my husband both Moby sweaters by PETITEKNIT. I will pop, as always, here. And I wanted a big cable jumper of my own, but I was so sick of knitting that pattern. I feel like I've heard a lot of people say this, like they either feel intimidated by it or like they just get sick of knitting it. And to be honest, after knitting 2, I was done. I was just like, no, I cannot knit this pattern again. So I went through the good old Vogue Stitch Dictionary and picked a couple of cables, and this is what I made from it. And this is quite easily my most worn jumper. I put this on every morning, and you can probably see because it's quite pilly down here. Although not too bad, to be honest. I have never depilled this, and I've worn it pretty much every single day of the colder months, at least. Sorry, I'm just checking the time. Yeah, I've worn this pretty much every single day of the colder months since I finished it in, I think it was April. No, it was the end of May, because I finished it. No, it wasn't the end of May. It was the end of March. So yeah, that is this. And I love this jumper. I just love it. I know I shouldn't really hop on about it because like it's something that I made for myself and it's not a pattern, but I knit this up in Peruvian Highland wool in the colour Marzipan. I mean, eventually I would love to be able to write up a pattern about this, a pattern for this, but I don't know. I don't think I'm in the mindset for anything like that. And I don't know. Let me know. Do you think there are too many designers now? I don't know. I don't know. My confidence is very, very low at the moment. And I'll just be honest about it. My confidence is very low. Right, my next finished object is a big one. So I have been knitting this for a long time, and it is my husband's Christmas, well, it's not his Christmas jumper, it is his Christmas present that is a jumper. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit it in frame now. I'll try and take some B-roll as well, but here it is. And it is the Dad Sweater by Gently Chaotic Knits, or Emily Curtis, and I knit this up in size 3 broad shoulder. So this pattern comes in 2 different sort of size ranges depending on your shoulder width, because it is a set in sleeve. So I knit this in the size 3 broad shoulder for my husband. The pattern size range is the same for both the standard and the broad shoulder when it comes to the chest measurement, but the shoulder measurements are obviously different depending on whether or not you have broader shoulders or not. Yeah, so the bust range for this is 36 to 68 inches, or 90 centimetres to 170 centimetres, and I knit size 3, gives you roughly 44 inches or 110 centimetres across the bust. My husband has about a 92 centimetre bust. Bust? Yeah, bust. It always sounds weird if you use, like when I use the word bust when talking about a man's chest. So yeah, he has a 92 centimetre chest, and he has bang on an 18-inch shoulder width, so this should hopefully fit him perfectly. Fingers crossed. Obviously he has not tried this on because it's a gift, and like I've been knitting it in secret, and yeah, I have measured this up against other jumpers that he has, and it is exactly the same size as those. And yes, so this is a set in sleeve. The gauge for this is 21 stitches by 30 rows, and I knit this on the recommended needles, which are a 4mm for the main body and then a 3.75 for all of the ribbing. I knit this in woolly knit British wool in the 4-ply where's the other one? In their cones. These cones go so far. So I have not weighed this yet. I will weigh it and I will pop the weight up here. You get 500 grams on these cones, I believe, on each cone. And I have knit not only this, which is obviously a full-sized men's garment, but I have knit a jumper for myself out of these, and I still have this much left of each cone. It's just, oh, hello. It's just insane how far these go. I mean, I will obviously caveat this with the fact that I am quite petite, and my husband is not exactly like the broadest man in the world. So, yeah, I mean, we don't tend to use a huge amount of yarn when knitting garments, which, you know, it's just how our bodies are. So yeah, I'm not sure how much, like, if you would be able to get, well, I know that you definitely wouldn't be able to get 2 jumpers out of these cones if you were knitting in the larger sizes. But yeah, I just think that this was such an economical buy, and the fact that I think I spent like £50 on these 2 cones, and I got 2 jumpers, and there is still so much on here. I'll do the calculations and tell you how much is actually left on these, because I'm not going to get an accurate weight because the cone is still in here, without like caking these up, which I may do just to make them easier to store. But yeah, I just think, yeah, this was just so, yeah, I just think this was so, like, such a good buy. Such a good, like, value for money when it comes to a knit. Anyway, back to the jumper. So I made a couple of modifications to this. And essentially all I did was I lengthened the sleeve ever so slightly by 1 decrease so that the cuff would just be a little bit smaller. My husband has quite slender wrists. His wrists are only just a little bit larger than mine. So I know that he doesn't really want too much of a baggy cuff. Yeah, so it's fine. It's quite tight, but I also find that these do stretch out quite a lot because he's constantly like pulling his sleeves up and everything. So I wanted it to have a good amount of memory in there. So yeah, I lengthened the sleeves ever so slightly so that it would match up with his other jumpers that I've knit, and I also did an extra decrease. I also lengthened the body ever so slightly. And yeah, just so that it matched up with all of his other jumpers so that it fit him the way that he wanted it to. So the measurements that I mentioned earlier are including the recommended 6 to 9 inches or 15 to 22.5 centimeters of positive ease. So yeah, a really good size range, and I will more than likely be knitting up a version of this for myself. I've got some yellow, I think it's called Mustard Fields. Yeah, it's called Mustard Fields. British wool from Woolly Knit that I will be probably knitting up a version of this for myself in. Because who doesn't want a bright canary yellow jumper? But yeah, I'm so happy with how this turned out. After the whole hoodie business from last week, I was a little bit, not last week, 2 weeks ago, I was a little bit concerned. But I'm happy, I'm so happy. This is now all blocked and ready to go, and just, I'm so happy with it. This yarn softens up so nicely with blocking. It's like next to skin soft. Yeah, I was quite confident with my yarn choice because I have got a version of this which I have spoken about before, and the yarn, like my husband's tried that on, and the yarn doesn't bother him, so I wasn't really overly worried about it. I mean, it's not like an itchy yarn, but it's not like 100% superwash merino, so it's not like buttery soft. My daughter probably, I don't know, maybe she would put up with it, maybe not, I don't know. Did I mention the colours? I can't remember. Either way, these are chestnut and cream, and look at that mole. It's so nice. It's exactly what I wanted. And I'm now going to have to just figure out a way to not wear them on the same day, now that me and my husband both have a version. And hopefully he likes it as much as I do. I know, I mean, to be honest, I was kind of tipped off to the fact that he was going to like this because, like I've said before, the version that I've got, I originally knit for him and it was the wrong size. But yes, I have double checked my gauge and I got bang on gauge with this, and obviously I've measured it up against his jumper as well, so I'm pretty confident with fit. So I'll keep you updated in the next episode of this podcast. He will have received this, and yeah, hopefully I will be able to say, oh yeah, he loves it. I mean, if he didn't, I think I might cry. Oh dear. Right, so that was that. I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. I really am. First of my whips are my Christmas socks, which I've made. I can't remember where I can't remember where I was when I left off. I don't know. But I have now finished sock 1. And yeah, I think this is just the most festive thing. I was a little bit annoyed when I finished the toe and I hadn't managed to get like the other red stripe or like finished on a green stripe, but such is like, that's just the length of my foot. I am kind of loosely following a pattern to these, so I use the numbers and the heel from the Peachy Pumpkin socks that I knit at the in October, but I went down 2 needle sizes from that to a 2mm needle, and I'm just knitting this in just plain vanilla stockinette. So I am using West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply in Cherry Drop for the contrast heel, cuff and toe, and Holly Berry for the rest of the body of the body of the sock. Yeah, the leg and the foot, the body of the sock. And completely through coincidence, this stripe here is exactly the same as my contrast colour, so obviously it must be dyed the same colour within the Holly Berry colourway, which was complete chance because I had the Cherry Drop colourway in my stash for ages and ages. I think I bought it before last Christmas with the intention of making Christmas socks and never actually getting around to it. And then yeah, it just sat there for ages. And then I obviously bought the Holly Berry and thought, oh, I could do a contrast heel and toe and cuff. And yeah, it worked out really nicely. So yeah, I finished the first sock and I have cast on the second sock, second sock, and this is how much I have done. Like, what is that? 3 rounds, if that? 2 rounds? It's either 2 or 3 because I have been casting on using a larger needle. I've been casting on using my 2.25mm needle, and then I've been knitting the rest of the sock on a 2mm needle because I didn't want it to be... Sometimes I find that with socks particularly, my cast on is quite tight, even with like a long tail cast on. I think I just pull the yarn a little bit too tight so that it looks neat, and then it's a little bit tough to get them on and off on my foot, so I cast on with a larger needle just to make sure that I had a little bit of extra stretch there at the top of the ribbing and it wasn't going to be like pulling. And yeah, it seems to have worked really well because I've like tried this one on many times to try and get it to the proper length of my foot. And yeah, I think it's worked really well. So yeah, that is my Christmas socks. Yeah, I've just been knitting these in the car and when we've been driving. I think I should be able to get them done. Fingers crossed. But right, second whip is also a pair of socks, which are for my husband. It's just like needles and stuff all over the place on the floor below me because I've just left it in complete chaos. Oh, and this is in chaos. Oh. So because I'm knitting these in secret as well, they've been like kind of like shoved in a drawer, and I didn't put them in a project bag, which was stupid of me. And so everything is a bit chaotic. Right. So these are a pair of Thicksgiving Socks by Summerlee Knits. And I am about this far through the first one. It's a DK weight sock pattern. DK worsted. Essentially you hold fingering weight double. And the pattern is written to like really accentuate any like marling that you might want to do, which I have not done here because I've just done like, these are like elf socks really, aren't they? They give really big elf vibes. So yeah, I am using West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply again. It's one of my favourite sock yarns and it's really affordable. I think it's like £8 for 100 grams. Or something like that. And I am knitting the second size in these. It comes in, so the pattern comes with 4 different sizes. I believe they are all adult sizes, but don't quote me on that. The gauge for these is 26 stitches and 28 by 28 rows. And the recommended needle size for these is a 3.5, but I am knitting mine on a 3.25. Apart from how much would I say? Probably about that much of the ribbing and the cast on, which I did do on a 3.5 because I've had that problem, like I was saying, with my last pair of socks where they're just a little bit too tight to get over the bulk of your foot where your heel is. And I didn't want that to happen because that has happened on another pair of my husband's socks, and I had to like unpick them and then re-knit the ribbing, which was a little bit annoying, but you know, it's all trial and error with fit to begin with, isn't it? So the colours I'm using are Rouge and Spruce, and here they are in the skein. So this yarn does come balled up. It doesn't come in hanks, but because I wanted to hold it double, I caked it up so that it was just easier to be able to pull from the middle and pull from the edge. Otherwise, I find if I try and do that with a ball, it just ends up in chaos, whereas this is just a little bit more manageable. So the pattern size range goes from 7 inches around the widest point of your foot to 10 inches, or 17.5 to 25.5 centimetres, which I believe is all adult sizes. And I'm knitting the second size for my darling husband. These are the only socks that he wears now. I mean, not the specific pair, because obviously I'm not finished. But yeah, this is the only pattern of socks that he will wear. He prefers a thicker sock. I have knit him fingering weight socks, and he just doesn't wear them as often, so I decided to go with these. Also, they're a bit of a quicker knit. So I've made a couple of modifications. So well, I say a couple, one modification really. I did lengthen the rib ever so slightly, so there's about 2 inches of rib here, which is like 1/4 of an inch more than the pattern states, but I like a long ribbing on a sock. And yeah, so the pattern comes with like 3 different designs. So you get like the vanilla, you get a ribbed version, and you also get one that's got like some cables at the top. And the vanilla version comes with an afterthought heel, and I always find that they don't really fit my husband's feet very well, so I take the heel flap and gusset from the ribbed version, but follow the numbers for size 1 when I'm knitting size 2 of the vanilla version, so that they fit with the stitch counts. And I just knit the heel flap and gusset onto the vanilla version, and then just do some gusset decreases. And it works really, really well. I love how this heel flap is looking. It's just really, really satisfying. And yeah, so for the stripe on these, I've done 12 rounds per stripe. And then I'm just using the red for the cuff and the heel and the toe. And yeah, so this is the first sock, and I've still got one more left to go. But yeah, I'm really happy with how these are turning out. I am a little bit concerned that my husband's going to think these are far too bright for him, because he does not have the same bright colour palette as I do. Also, my camera hates this red. It really does. So I'm hoping it's not blowing it out too much, but apologies if it is. So yeah, that is those. And yeah, I'm knitting the magic loop, because that's how I knit all of my socks nowadays. I have tried multiple times with small circulars, and I have knit socks on small circulars, but it makes my hands hurt, so I've gone for magic loop. So I am intending to make a second pair of these and like just reverse the colours, but I'm just going to see how much time I've got, because obviously I'm not even all the way through sock 1 yet, so but they are relatively quick to knit. So yeah, that is my Thicksgiving socks from by Summerlee Knits for my husband. Okay, so that was whip number 2. Okay, whip number 3 is the Turtle Dove MKAL by SARI NORDLUND. So if you don't want, I mean, I suppose it won't be spoilers because this will come out on Thursday. It's currently Tuesday, and so Clue 3 will already have hit Instagram and Ravelry before I publish this. However, if you do not want clues, if you do not want spoilers for Clue 2, then come back at this time. Okay? So this is the Turtle Dove. Oh, that's not going to want to show, is it? Let me see if I can, there we go. So this is the Turtle Dove shawl by SARI NORDLUND. And she's doing this as a mystery knit along. And I had a bit of drama getting my yarn for this. I ordered it and then it got shipped, so it wasn't the shop's fault. I ordered it from knit.co.uk. And the reason I ordered it from knit.co.uk is because I knew that it was going to get here really quickly, because her shipping is generally really, really fast. And it got stuck in the postal service. I don't know what happened. It just got stuck at my local sort of sorting office. And it just did not move. It didn't move for a week, and it was so annoying, because I was sat there and I was like, right, Clue 1 has come out. Clue 2 came out on the day that this actually arrived, and I was like, right, Clue 2 is going to come. Clue 2 is going to come, and I have not got my yarn yet. Which was a little bit annoying, because obviously I saw other people knitting it and I was like, oh, I want to be knitting this, but I can't because my yarn is stuck in the postal service. So then I even went ahead and ordered another lot, because I was like, if this, I'd never had it stuck in the postal service for so long. I thought, right, this has just gotten lost. So I reordered the yarn, and that got shipped yesterday and is coming today. So that took a long time to get shipped. Either way, I now have 2 lots of this yarn. 1 lot in my possession, and the next lot, which is apparently arriving today. So I don't know. Either way, this is Filcolana, Tilia and Saga? Yes, Filcolana Saga and Filcolana Tilia, both in the colour Peach Blossom. And again, my camera hates this colour. So it is this really corally pink, and it is beautiful. It is absolutely stunning. It's not usually a colour that I go for. I'm kind of going into my colour phase, and everything, I'm just really gravitating towards really bright colours at the moment. And this, I saw the initial post and it was in grey, and I was like, yeah, grey, yeah, it's practical, yeah. And then I was looking at yarns and I thought, I could knit it in something that's going to be really practical, or I could knit it in hot pink. And I just decided to go for hot pink. So my mum and my daughter are both eyeing this up. And now that I've got a second lot of yarn coming, I'm thinking I might knit one for my mum as a really late Christmas gift, or maybe I will finish this one up and gift this to my mum and then knit myself a new one in January, because it is relatively quick. I am about 80% of the way through Clue 2. I have already finished Clue 1, and I managed Clue 1 in one evening, and Clue 2 is taking me a little bit longer because there's just because you're increasing, there's more stitches. I'll just say a little bit more about the pattern, because I tried, should have done that to begin with and then went off on a tangent about my yarn issues. So yeah, this pattern comes in, because it's a shawl, it comes in one size. The recommended needles are a 3.5mm needle, and that is what I am using. It's recommended to use a strand of fingering weight merino and then a strand of mohair or something fluffy, or you can use just one strand of double knit, and I just decided to go for one strand of fingering and one strand of mohair. Yeah, so Saga is actually a woolen spun yarn, so you get quite a lot of yardage. So you get 300 meters per 50 grams. And this is so light. It's so light. And I think that's, to be honest, that was why I went for it, because I wanted something that was going to be really, really light, because my next whip is going to be quite heavy. Oh, hello. Yeah, so the finished size for this is going to be 100 centimeters by, or 40 inches by 30 centimeters, or 11.5 inches. and the gauge is 23 stitches and 30 rows in the cable pattern, which I think I'm getting. I mean, I always find it quite difficult to read my gauge when it comes to cables, but yeah, I'm roughly on gauge. And oh, it's just such a lovely fabric, and I think once it's blocked, it's just going to open up to be the most stunning shawl. And yeah, I thought that after knitting the yoke of my wood anemone that I was going to be done with bobbles, and I'm not completely done with them, but I am glad that there are not as many in this. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. And I'm really looking forward to see where this goes. And I think the clues are going to take me less and less time, because obviously we're going to start decreasing to go down towards the other end. But I don't know, if I didn't already have the yarn coming, and if I wasn't enjoying knitting this quite so much, then I would probably find it more difficult to gift. But I really am considering. Oh, it's going to be so nice. Look at that. Lovely. Yeah, I am genuinely considering giving this to my mum, because she now works in a school and obviously has to do like playground duty, and it gets chilly and she walks to work, so I think she will really enjoy this. These are my yarns. I should probably show those. Like I said, I'm all over the place today. I mean, when am I not? I say this in every episode, and now I've got mohair in my eye. But yeah, these are my yarns. So the colour match is pretty good. The mohair is more saturated than the wool, but yeah, I'm very, very happy with them. My daughter is really desperate for this. Every time I knit it, she goes, "Is this for me, mummy?" And I'm, no. I'm not sure that 100% wool and mohair would be the best option for a scarf for her, because she's 3. And Advent season means that there is a lot of chocolate going on. Right, so that was whip number 3. So whip number 4 is my Advent knitting. Welcome back if you didn't want to see the MKAL. Yeah, so I'm knitting this with my Advent from The Lonely Knitter, which is the Journey to the Dark Side Advent. But I'm quite behind on, oh, there's a hair in my face and I can't get it. Where is it? It's stuck to my glasses. Hang on, bear with. My glasses are filthy as well. Okay, right, back in the room. Yeah, so I am quite behind on my Advent knitting, and I knew I was going to be, and I'm fine with that. I'm not at the point where I'm upset about it. Oh dear. So yeah, I'm only on day, so I'm like midway through knitting day 4 of my Advent, and we are currently, like, it's the 12th today, and this will come out on the 14th, so I'm 10 days behind. So, but this is where we are. This is the Daft Day shawl by Rebecca CLOW, or the Crea Bea, and I have already made a boo-boo in the pattern. And where is it? It's here. So I've accidentally like reversed the pattern between these 2 colours. I don't know how visible that is. But yeah, so my pattern is now offset, but only on one side, and I have no idea how I've done it. But I am so behind on knitting my Advent. I'm really enjoying opening it. But yeah, I'm just so behind on it that I'm not overly fussed about the fact that I'm going to have to rip back to change that. If it wasn't so high up, because obviously when I wear this as a shawl, I'm probably going to wear it like this and then have the wingspan go around. So I think it's going to be really visible, like where the mistake is. So I'm going to pull it back, which is fine because I'm so far behind. Like, I don't even think it's relevant anymore. I'm just going to pull it back and redo it, and I'm happy with that. So yeah, this is days 1 to 4. My advent is a fade, so I think the fade is going relatively well. I mean, it is more obvious on the side where the mistake is, this side. The change between these colours I think is more obvious where the mistake is. But the fade is like going into dark, and now we're coming out of the dark and we're going into much lighter colours, and I'm very, very excited about it. I've been posting every day about my my advent on my Instagram, and so yeah, that is rife with spoilers, although I am putting a cover photo on there. Anyway, this shawl it comes in one size. The finished length is 165, so the wingspan. When I'm saying length, I mean the wingspan. And the same for the turtle dove as well. So the finished length is 165 centimetres or 65 inches, and the finished width, or depth I suppose, is 70 centimetres or 27.5 inches, and the gauge for this is 22 stitches by 29 rows, and it is a fingering weight shawl, which was great for me because I got my advent on the 75-25 sock base, which is a fingering weight. And the recommended needle size for this is 3.25, but I am using my 3.75 because this is a shawl. I was like, well, gauge isn't really hugely relevant, and as long as I'm getting a fabric that I like, it doesn't really matter, because I would love for this to be really big, because I want it to be something that like we can wrap up in when it's a bit chilly, like in the summer, and just sort of chuck around you, or you can wear it as like a proper scarf or have it as like a blanket if you want to. So yeah, I wasn't overly fussed about the needle size, and my 3.5s are currently busy in my turtle dove, and my 3.25s are currently busy in my husband's socks. So my 3.75s were finally free, and I just thought, I'm just going to cast on with my 3.75 and see how I go. And actually this fabric is beautiful. Like the drape is absolutely gorgeous. And I believe that Rebecca CLOW, the designer of this, knits continental and I knit English. So there's that age-old thing where I knit tighter than they do. And because there's quite a lot of purling in this, I know that continental knitters usually do knit their pearls a lot looser than I do. So actually like going up a couple of needle sizes has really benefited me there. But yeah, the pattern itself is actually made for stripes, but because mine is a fade, I am obviously just going to knit it as a fade. And I'm following the instructions from one of the testers on Ravelry, and her Ravelry handle is Tooth Fairy Pearls. And she's put in like really detailed instructions of like how many rows to knit of each colour, because she knit hers from a 24 mini skein advent and mine is a 24 mini skein advent. So yeah, I'm really grateful that she put in so many detailed notes, because then I can just follow them like the pattern. But yeah, it's like a slip stitch design, and it is really, really gorgeous. But because I am so behind, and because I have gift knits and everything to get on with as well, I have decided that I'm going to kind of put this on hold, open up my advent, and then come back to this once I've finished some other larger, more pressing, like time sensitive whips, because I'm not like overly desperate to have this. I do want it for January, but I'm really looking forward to being able to just knit it in January and then not worry about like spoilers for anybody or anything like that, and just knit it at my own pace, because there is a lot of pressure to knit advent knits like as you open them. And I think something like this, where you're getting like a nice little wedge when you fold it, when you are getting like your stitches are obviously increasing as you go, it is difficult, especially when I'm knitting gift knits as well, to keep up. So I'm taking the pressure off myself, and I'm saying just knit it as you like, as and when I can. And this will show up as a finished object at some point, because I think like I'm obviously only 4 stripes in, not 4 stripes, 4 colours in, and I'm already at like almost 200 stitches, and it is just insane how many stitches I'm going to end up with. So yeah, but yeah, that is my advent knitting so far. I'm so happy with how it's coming out. Like Laura's done such a good job with this advent. It is gorgeous, and she has like, because it's a Star Wars themed advent, she has hit the mark on every single colour. And yeah, it's amazing. I love it. And it also came with this wonderful candle from Skein and the Stitch. And ooh, it smells lovely. It's sort of like quite citrusy. And it's just, yeah, it also hits the nail on the head for the theme. So yeah, I've not burnt this yet. I will burn it, but I have not yet. But yeah, that was my 4th whip. And on to my last one. So my last one is something that you've seen before, but it's had the most progress on it because I want to wear it. And it is in my lovely Willow Bay handmade bag, which I got for my birthday, which I love. So this is my wood anemone pullover. And which way is it? Which way is that's the front, because the ends are all at the back. Maybe I'll pull those through. So last time I showed this, I was like still in the yoke, and now I have finished the body and I'm about to start the ribbing for the first sleeve. I would have finished the first sleeve, but I had a bit of a boo-boo, which you can probably kind of figure out what happened because it's hand-dyed yarn and there was a bit of foreshadowing from last week. So a bit about the pattern to begin with. This is the Wood Anemone Pullover by SARI NORDLUND. I am knitting size 2. So the size range for this is 81 to 165 centimetre for like finished bust, which is 32 to 65 inches, which includes the 5 to 15 centimetres or 2 to 6 inches of positive ease. The gauge is 20 stitches by 28 rounds, and the recommended needles are 4mm, 3mm and 3.5mm. And I'm using the recommended needles. My swatch came out really nicely on gauge, which doesn't happen very often for me. I'm using Amano Yarns Mayu in the colour, it's a colour code and I can never remember what it is, bear with. It is colour 2012. I don't know, is that a 2 or is that a 1 or is that a 7? I'm not sure. Either way. Which is a DK weight yarn, and it is 60% Royal Alpaca, 20% Cashmere and 20% Silk. And it says it's dip dyed, which I have now come to find is more like a hand dyed than I thought it was. So I finished the body, which, oh, fluff, lovely, which I'm really, really happy about. I haven't blocked the body yet though, so I'm expecting a little bit of growth. And then I knit the sleeve, and I didn't really have like any pooling issues on the body. I didn't alternate skeins on the yoke or the body. I just knit it like from each skein as I was going along. I seem to be like completely unable to hold things up, and everything is covered in fluff at the moment because I've been sewing and like threads are everywhere. They just get into everything. Yeah, so I didn't alternate skeins, and I don't think I've really had any pooling issues. I think it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, there's obvious variegation in the yarn, but like that was just the nature of the yarn. But on the sleeves, it was a different story. So it was fine until I got to like here. I mean, there's a little bit of striping going on there, which I was also not all that fussed about. And then when I got to, I would say, I think it's about here. When I got to here, it was like big patches of light and dark, like almost like camo print, which I mean is, it was just obscure pooling. And it's kind of happened a little bit again. I mean, there's obviously like a lighter patch on this side of the sleeve and then a darker patch on this one, but it's nowhere near as noticeable. So I don't know if I just had a dodgy skein, like, or dodgy end of skein or something, but I did start alternating skeins around about here. And I just knit one round in one skein and knit one round in another skein. And it seems to have sorted it out. I mean, it's definitely less noticeable. And to be honest, once it's on, because obviously it doesn't sit like this on my arm, it sits more like this. I don't think it's going to be as noticeable. And I will now like alternate skeins on the other sleeve. So yeah, I mean, it was a little bit disappointing because obviously I would have had the sleeve done because I had knit all the way to where I was, and then I had to pull back all of this, which was quite a lot of knitting. But you know, it is what it is, and I don't tend to use a huge amount of like tonal yarns, and so it just didn't cross my mind that I was going to have to, like, that it was going to change so much. The striping I didn't mind. I was sort of like, well, that's fine. It's just the nature of the yarn. It was when it changed, that's when it bothered me. And I was like, no, this is not what I wanted. But other than that, this is gorgeous. I'm going for like drinks with the other mums from my daughter's nursery at the end of the week. And I'm really hoping that I can have this done and blocked and ready to wear, because I just think it's going to make me look so much more fancy than I am. I am not all that put together, ever. So yeah, this is like going to be my fancy. I think I've said this before. I have. This is going to be my fancy Christmas jumper. So if I don't have it done for those drinks, then I definitely want to have it done by my wedding anniversary, which is just before Christmas, because we're actually going out for our wedding anniversary this year. We've had like terrible luck. Last year it was really, really snowy, and like we couldn't get a babysitter to come over and look after my daughter. And the year before, like, we were still coming in and out of lockdowns, and then the year before that we actually got married, so you know, that was it. And that was just before a lockdown as well, so it was just, yeah, it's just turned out that we've always like gotten a takeaway and just watched telly and just had some nice time together. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going out and celebrating with my husband, and wearing my fancy new jumper. He obviously won't be able to wear his because it is before Christmas, so he won't have received his yet. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this is turning out. And it's just the most beautiful thing. Sometimes I look at this and I go, I knit that. That's amazing. And it is all down to the pattern, like SARI NORDLUND's patterns. Now that I've knit this one, and obviously I'm knitting the Turtle Dove, they are just wonderful patterns. They're really well written. They're so clear. The chart is really nicely written. Like, it's just, they are charted patterns. But yeah, they're just, you can tell how much time and effort has been put into it, because it's just like, I've never like read through it and thought, what? Because it's just, it's so clear and concise and straight to the point. It's just, yeah. And also just the fact that like even the thought process of giving you a smaller needle size for your like lace yoke than for your stockinette, just because most people knit lace a little bit looser because of all the yarn overs and everything. It's just, yeah. So then you don't get that annoying kind of like lump where you go up to your stockinette, or like down to your stockinette. But yeah, there are short rows in this pattern underneath the yoke after you split for the sleeves, and it's just brought the back yoke, like the back of the jumper, down to meet the front beautifully, and also like it makes it fit your neck really, really nicely. It's absolutely wonderful. So unbelievably impressed with this, and I cannot wait to wear it. And that's why it's become like my sole whip so far. Like, I've been knitting on other things every now and then, but this is all I want to knit right now. And I'll be sad when it's over. I kind of want a black one. That might happen. I might have to knit myself a black one. But yeah, that is all of my whips. Let's do some acquisitions, shall we? I think I've only got one like yarny acquisition, and it is this 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Is it the 2-ply? Oh, I had it so that I could get into this a minute ago. Yeah, 2-ply high twist sock yarn from Pigment and Ply, and this is in the Cheap Ass Screw Top Rosé colourway from her Midnights collection. And I ordered this back in August with the intention of knitting something for my sister, who is a massive Swiftie, and like she's going off to the Eras tour at some point next year, and she wanted something that she could potentially wear to that. So I let her choose what colour she wanted, and she chose this one. And I'm going to knit a Musselburgh hat for her to wear when she goes to the Eras tour, which she may be too hot in, but you know, it's up to her if she actually wears it. But yeah, this pink is absolutely gorgeous. It's like, yeah, it gives you like Cheap Ass Rosé vibes. Yeah, there's a purple, I think, that was based on Lavender Haze. So if she has any like extras, then I might order that and knit a hat for my daughter, because Jess's colours are just beautiful. They're all absolutely stunning. I've always been in awe of her dye work, and I've just never really ordered from her, and I think I will again in the future. But yeah, so this is what I got for my sister to make her a Musselburgh hat, and I need to get a wiggle on with this so that it's ready, because she's coming on Boxing Day, so I need to get going. But that was it for Yarny Acquisitions. I have a little bit of sewing to talk about, so if you were just here for the yarn, then and the knitting, then thank you for watching, and I will catch you again in 2 weeks. If you want to hang around for the sewing, or you just want to just listen to me natter on whilst you're knitting, then I do have some fabric that I bought, and some buttons and some thread. So I tend to sew quite a lot for my daughter, and she had a non-uniform day a little while ago, and I sewed her up this top in this butterfly fabric that I got from eBay, and this is the Clementine top pattern from, is it Me and Kiddo Patterns, that I found on Etsy. And this pattern also comes with a dress option with another peplum here, and then it obviously has the full skirt. So I had a sudden decision that my daughter would probably want a Christmas dress. And so I ordered some fabric from Fab Fabrics, and I couldn't decide between two, so I ordered two. And so the first one, obviously I folded it inside out. The first one, I don't know how well this is going to show on camera, is this gold, glittery, sparkly cotton. And I thought that will look really nice for a really like special Christmas dress. We're not going anywhere for Christmas. My daughter just loves to dress up like nicely. She loves to dress up as like her favourite fairies and everything anyway, but she just loves to dress up. So I thought, you know what, why not? You're only 3 once. So that was the first one I got. And this is the second one that I got, which is much more kind of like conservative. And it's just like, there we are, little sort of, I keep calling them baubles, but they also look like pom-poms, and stars. And so I'm going to turn both of those into dresses for my daughter. And then I got some little buttons to go on the back, just from my local haberdashery. And these are from Groves Limited again. And yeah, they're just little sparkly flowers. Because I thought that would probably go quite well with both fabrics, and not really like, they're already quite sort of flashy fabrics. So I thought these were probably a good option. And then, because I'm going to need to top stitch down, loud car, because I'm going to need to like top stitch down the, what would you call this? The facing, there we go. And also I'm going to need to top stitch for where the elastic goes in and the sleeve, and also for the hem, and also the buttonholes and everything. I went ahead and got myself a really sparkly thread to go with it, and this is also what I used to do the embroidery on my daughter's stocking. So yeah, hopefully she really enjoys that. And so, yeah, that was that. I told you it was going to be really thick, really quick, because I am not an expert sewer. I mean, I'm not an expert knitter or crocheter. I'm not an expert in anything really. But yeah, I'm very much like an amateur seamstress, sewist. Can't even think of the word. But yeah, that was everything from me this week. I will be back in 2 weeks, which will be after Christmas. I did also consider, and I put a poll out on my Instagram and it came back as a good yes. But I thought I'd put it out on here just in case you don't follow me on Instagram, or you don't keep up with my stories, or you just, yeah, not there. That's fine. I am considering doing like a bonus video to sort of like go through all of my gift knits, but like after having gifted them. So it will come out like not middle of January, but like some point in January. And like give my honest opinion after knitting them, and like would I knit them again, what I'm considering knitting for next year, that kind of thing. Yeah, so if you do want to see that video, then what should we do? Like either put in a yes, I want to see that, or like just a little present emoji in the comments, and I will get going on making that. I hope that you all have a lovely Christmas. If you don't celebrate, I hope you have a lovely like festive period, or just like a lovely rest over the holidays. I'm looking forward to getting some rest in now. And I've got like 1 more week of dropping off my daughter at nursery, so hopefully we don't come back with an illness, in touch wood. But yeah, I hope you all have a lovely festive period. I hope you all get lots of knitting done. Hope you get to see lots of your family. If you find this time difficult, then I hope that you are kind of doing everything that you can to get through it. But anyway, yes, I will catch you up again in 2 weeks with what I've been knitting, and until then, happy knitting!